Hi, my friends. Today, I want to present you with a new story. Enjoy watching it. My son was rushed to the emergency room. I texted my mom. She replied, "We're busy with Margaret." Then she made fun of my son. So I stopped paying their mortgage, their car loan, and every bill I was helping them with. Hey Reddit, before we begin, I just want to say this is our new channel, and we're working hard to bring you great stories. Please subscribe and help us get to 1,000 followers. Now, here's the story. When I got the call that my son passed out during gym and was taken to the hospital, everything stopped. I left work right away and drove fast to the ER. My heart was beating so loud I could barely hear the doctor on the phone. My son, Liam, is 8 years old. He had a seizure, out of nowhere. No past health issues, no signs, nothing. He just collapsed and started shaking in front of his class. When I got to the emergency room and saw him with tubes and machines all around him, my heart broke. He looked so small and weak lying there. I felt scared and helpless. I sent a group text to my parents and my sister Margaret. I said, "Liam is in the ER, he passed out at school. I'm here now." I thought they'd be worried or at least call, especially my parents. They always say they love their grandkids. I believed that if something serious happened, they'd be there. But no. 5 minutes later, my mom replied, "We're busy with Margaret. She needs us today. Hope he gets better soon." I stared at that message in shock. Busy with Margaret? My grown sister who lives close by and works part-time. What could be more important than a kid in the hospital? Margaret wasn't sick. She didn't have an emergency. She probably just needed help moving furniture or choosing new decorations, typical stuff for her. I didn't text back. I just sat by Liam's bed, holding his little hand and trying not to cry. His face was pale, and he was drifting in and out of sleep while the doctors checked him. It felt like my world was falling apart, and the people who should have been there weren't. A few hours later, my mom messaged again. I thought maybe she had changed her mind and was finally coming. Nope, it was a picture of Margaret's new living room and a text that said, "Doesn't it look nice? We spent all day helping her. She's been so stressed lately, poor thing." That was it for me. I didn't answer, because if I had, I would have said something I couldn't take back. I showed my wife the message, and even she, usually the one who keeps the peace, was mad. But what pushed me over the edge was what happened the next morning. Liam was stable, but the doctors said he needed more tests. They thought it could be something with his brain. We were scared. I called my mom just to keep her updated. She answered the phone all cheerful, saying, "Hi, sweetie," like nothing serious was happening. I told her what was going on, that the doctors were doing MRIs and blood tests, and that we were scared. Her reply? "Well, kids bounce back. Maybe he's pretending to skip school. You know how dramatic he can be." Then she laughed. She actually laughed at the idea of my scared little boy faking a seizure. I was so shocked I couldn't speak. I ended the call right away. My hands were shaking. Now here's something I haven't shared before. For the last 7 years, I've been paying my parents' bills. Not because they were broke, but because they never planned well. When my dad's business failed, I stepped in to help. I paid their mortgage. I paid off their car loan. I even helped with their credit card debt. I never asked for thanks. I just wanted to be a good son. But something broke inside me that day. That night, I went home and logged into every account I helped manage, starting with their mortgage. I stopped the automatic payments and told the bank I wouldn't be paying anymore. I canceled the transfers for the car loan. And for every credit card I co-signed, I pulled out and took my name off. I didn't say anything to them. I just did it. 3 days later, my mom called in a panic. She tried to use her card at the store, it got declined. Then they got a notice about a late mortgage payment. She called me, angry and confused, wanting to know what happened. I told her straight up, "You made your choice. You picked Margaret's furniture over your grandson's health. You laughed at him when he was suffering. I'm done helping people who don't care about my child." She started crying, yelling that I was being mean and dramatic, that they needed my help, and that Margaret was struggling. But I didn't give in. I reminded her that Margaret never helped pay for anything, yet she got all their time, love, and support. Meanwhile, when my son needed them, they mocked him and ignored us. I told her, "Ask Margaret for help now." She hung up crying. I haven't heard from them since. And here's the surprising part. I thought I'd feel guilty. But I didn't, not even a little. Liam is still going through tests. We're seeing neurologists and trying to stay hopeful. Each day brings new worries. But now I'm focused on my real family, the people who care. Not the ones I was draining myself for. Just when I thought things were finally calming down, I found out something about Margaret that changed everything. And what my parents did next made it even worse. A week after I stopped supporting them, the silence from their side started to feel strange, not peaceful, but tense. Still, I had no regrets. Liam was still going to appointments, but we were getting through it. My wife and I became even closer. My attention was on my son and my family, where it should have been all along. But I couldn't shake a weird feeling that something else was coming. That's when my cousin Jenna called. She sounded nervous, like she wasn't sure if she should be telling me anything, but I could hear the stress in her voice. She said she'd heard what happened with my parents and Margaret, and she needed to tell me something. I took a deep breath and prepared myself. Jenna told me that Margaret wasn't just redecorating that day. She had taken out a huge loan, in my dad's name. She had been asking them for money for months, saying she needed help to open a second location for her boutique. My parents, always trying to please their golden child, signed everything for her. While I was paying their mortgage, car loan, and credit cards, they were quietly using their last bit of credit to support Margaret's business. I was stunned. They let me think they were struggling, while giving everything they had to my sister, so she could chase a business dream she clearly wasn't ready for. And when my son was in the hospital, scared and hooked up to machines, they sent me a text about curtains. But it got worse. Jenna said Margaret was telling everyone in the family that I was making a big deal out of nothing, that Liam just fainted and I was using it to act out. She said I had a habit of being dramatic and controlling, and now I was throwing a tantrum because I wasn't the center of attention. That was the last straw. A few days later, my dad showed up at our door. No text, no call, just knocked one evening looking tired and worn out. My wife opened the door, and when I saw him, I nearly closed it again. He said he wanted to talk, that he missed Liam, that things had gotten out of hand. I let him in, not because I forgave him, but because I needed to hear it all said out loud. And he did talk. He admitted they messed up. That Margaret had always leaned on them. That they thought she needed more support because she couldn't handle things on her own. And that I'd always seemed strong, like I didn't need help. Then he said something that made me furious. We didn't come because we didn't want to get in the way. We thought you and your wife had it under control. Margaret was just stressed that day, she gets overwhelmed easily. That was it. I'd had enough. I told him I didn't want anything from them anymore, no help, no guilt trips, no fake apologies. I said, if you and Mom can't treat my son like he matters, if you can make excuses for ignoring him when he needed you most, then you don't deserve to see him at all. He asked if I was really cutting them off from Liam. I said, I'm not keeping Liam from anyone, you chose to walk away. He left, looking like he'd aged 10 years in just a few minutes. Since then, they've made a few weak attempts. A birthday card for Liam that arrived late with a gift card. A voicemail from my mom hoping he was feeling better. But it all feels empty now. Like they only care because the money stopped. And Margaret? Her second boutique shut down 3 weeks after it opened. She couldn't keep up with rent. She couldn't manage her staff. And now she's blaming everyone but herself. She hasn't reached out to me, not to apologize, not even to explain. And honestly, that silence is the best gift she's given me. My wife and I had a long talk about setting boundaries, about trust, about keeping our little family safe from people who only bring stress. We decided to move. Not far, but far enough to put real distance between us and them. A fresh start. A place where Liam can grow up surrounded by love, not drama. Where we don't have to worry about who's going to let us down next. This whole mess taught me something I wish I'd learned sooner. Just because someone's family doesn't mean they get to hurt you over and over and still expect your loyalty. Sometimes the best way to protect your child is to walk away from the people you once thought would always be there. And once you finally see who someone really is, there's no going back. So I chose my son. And I don't regret it for a second.